Okay, I hope so. Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, great.
afternoon. I am the Reverend Joan Javier Duval, and I welcome you to the Unitarian Church of Montpelier for this celebration of the life of Heather Merryman Moz, who parted from us in body this past November and whose love and memory lives on. And just a quick sound check, I think the pulpit mic is not on, Bryce, or the volume needs to be turned up, please. Thank you. Heather was a devoted mother, grandmother, godmother, and friend. She was a dedicated and skilled therapist, a kind and powerful presence whose life touched many. Today, in this sacred space, we come together as family, friends, neighbors, fellow church members, musical collaborators, and former colleagues. Some of us are here in this sanctuary, while others join us from afar through our live stream, and still more hold Heather in their hearts from a distance. In this time of remembrance, we form a community that stretches beyond these walls, united in love, grief, and celebration. We especially hold in our hearts Heather's family and dearest friends who are here today. Of course, Melinda and Avery and Jekyll and all of Heather's extended family. There are also dear friends who could not be here but are with us in spirit, and to each of you we extend our deepest sympathy and love as you continue to feel this loss. We have gathered here to remember Heather, to grieve her death, and to celebrate her well-lived life. This afternoon, we remember the fullness of who Heather was over the years of her life. We remember the ways that she expressed love and care, her joys as well as her sorrows, her accomplishments and her setbacks. We remember her for all of who she was, no more and no less. We know that in remembering Heather this afternoon and making her present among us in spirit, the grief and sadness of losing her will also be present with us, and this is as it should be. Her death brings the loss of companionship and friendship, of her very skillful listening ear, of the future possibility of deeper bonds of intimacy, love, and connection. And we know, too, that Heather's spirit and love live on in the stories and the memories that we share. So most of all, we come together to invite Heather's presence with us in memory, to affirm the gift that is life, the gift that was her life, and to share in gratitude that Heather was a part of the lives that we have lived. As a singer, Heather participated in many choirs and musical ensembles. Today, we are blessed to have two of those choirs present to offer music, our UCM Church Choir and the a cappella choir of the Montpelier Community Gospel Choir. Thank you for being here. And thank you also to Eliza Thomas and Lindsay Wade, with whom Heather loved making music. As we begin this service of remembrance, we light the chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. The flaming chalice is a symbol of the persistence of hope and the light that we kindle for one another through our acts of justice and kindness. We light this chalice in gratitude for the spark of hope that is alive within each of us and for the flame of love within us that is kindled by our bonds to one another.
The hour
I'd like to invite Clark Jordan, I think, up to do a reading, and I'm taking this moment to test our microphone, which seems to still not be on. And so I'm going to invite our magical wizard from the back room to come out, please, if you would, and assist us with seeing if we can get some sound to the sanctuary at the pulpit mic. We would really appreciate. Oh, here the magical wizard is coming.
Too soon? I couldn't really hear you.
And yes, we can applaud for the magical wizard if we'd like. That would be so fabulous. Thank you, Bryce. And while Bryce is figuring out what's going on, this is a celebration, and if you haven't had a chance to greet your neighbor and say hello, just share briefly some words of introduction, I invite you to do that for a moment.
Oh, I do. I think I do. Yeah, that's very good. Hi. I'm Clark, and I'm really grateful to be here today with you all to have time to think and feel the thoughts and feelings that we have about our dear friend and relation, Heather. You won't probably hear him. A few words, and then I'm going to read a poem. Heather, of course, was a remarkable woman with many facets, and one of her big facets was her ability to enjoy presents, to receive gifts, and to give gifts. She was very big on that. Of course, she had the gift of listening, which she was awfully good at, professionally and personally. But also just gifts. She was very good at giving gifts and also re-gifting gifts. She was very talented. She had special relations with objects. Object relations, of course, were important for her as a psychotherapist. At any rate, she gave me a lot of gifts over the years, and they ranged from the ridiculous to the sublime. She gave me one particular gift that I think is sublimely ridiculous, and that I've never before exhibited in public. But in honor of Heather, and because she would have insisted upon it in some way, I'm sure, I'm going to demonstrate it now. Yeah. Heather insisted that this was the perfect hat for me, and I think that she was at least half serious. Now, I just wanted to not keep it on because that would ruin the effect, but I just wanted people to be able to maybe try it on if they want to. This is a poem by Joy Barjo, and you know, we Central Vermonters are a little nervous about precipitation these days, but bear with me. The poem is called Praise the Rain. Praise the rain, the seagull dive, the curl of plant, the raven talk. Praise the hurt, the house slack, the stand of trees, the dignity. Praise the dark, the moon cradle, the sky fall, the bear sleep. Praise the mist, the warrior name, the earth eclipse, the fired leap. Praise the backwards, upward sky, the baby cry, the spirit food. Praise canoe, the fish rush, the hole for frog, the upside down. Praise the day, the cloud cup, the mind flat. Forget it all. Praise crazy. Praise sad. Praise the path on which we're led. Praise the roads on earth and water. Praise the eater and the eaten. Praise beginnings. Praise the end. Praise the song. And praise the singer. Praise the rain. It brings more rain. Praise the rain. It brings more rain.
Thank you, Clark. We continue in a time of sharing remembrances. We will hear from a few of Heather's family and friends who have prepared reflections. And there are many, many more memories that could be shared, which you are invited to do during the reception after the service. Heather was a longtime member of this church, faithfully attending alongside her daughter Melinda, usually arm in arm and singing together. She found her spiritual home in the choir under the direction of many music directors, where her deep, soulful voice enriched our worship and uplifted our hearts. Heather had a rare gift for listening, as Clark mentioned. She offered wise, compassionate care to many who faced life's challenges. And yet she was also a private person, carrying her own burdens with quiet strength and dignity. She felt things deeply and held passionate convictions. There were moments when she and I disagreed. She made sure I knew. But always with respect, always with grace. That integrity of spirit is something I admired greatly. Music was a language Heather spoke fluently, perhaps rivaling her fluency with words. It allowed her to express the full spectrum of emotions, including grief, longing, and hope. I remember one powerful moment several years ago after a deeply troubling event involving a Black child in New Hampshire. Heather wrote a song, perhaps the only one she ever wrote, and she performed it here on this chancel. It was called Boy on a Swing. Some of you may remember it. With her song, we were called as a congregation to confront not only the pain of that event itself, but the ongoing legacy of racial injustice and the complicity of many of us, especially, as she wrote and sang, fair-faced Vermonters. Through her powerful words and her soul-searching voice, Heather helped us to begin that reckoning. Heather was a force for truth, a force for compassion, a force for deep-spirited connection to life. That force is deeply missed today, and it's one that we carry forward in our hearts and in our actions. I'd now like to invite up Henrietta Jordan, followed by Rebecca, and then Melinda.
Actually, I have a little thing for short people to stand on. It's great for me. To those of you who are members of this congregation, I want to say what a beautiful sanctuary you have. smile. That smile that was so wide and so welcoming. And that beautiful voice. Not that necessarily the singing voice, which was also so beautiful, but the voice that made you feel so loved, so welcome, so beautiful. Because in her eyes, everyone was, and particularly those who loved her and whom she loved best. Now, I was friends with Heather for a very long time. I met her 53 years ago, and it was a strange way to meet someone who would become one of your best friends for life and your surrogate mother. But it turned out that Melinda was in a daycare in which I was teaching at Bennington College. And Heather, who was working at the language lab, does anybody here, raise your hand if you remember what a language lab is? Right, yeah, not too many of us, right? My grandchildren, for example, have no idea what I'm talking about. But a language lab, I will explain, is a place where you could go and practice foreign languages with tapes and headphones and everything. It was a pretty big deal in the days before the internet and online learning. But anyway, but that was her job, and so she would come down and pick up Melinda. And you know, Heather was probably not the most punctual person I've met. And in fact, my own daughter said that it was fitting that I should be the last one to arrive at this service, given who it was for. But but anyway, so Heather would pick up Melinda and we would chat, you know, and it was this wonderful young woman. She was, I think, in her mid-30s, you know, that's young to me now. Anyway, she was just so effervescent and friendly and happy to see Melinda, you know, and it was just, so we just got to be friendly, and I really got to look forward to these pickups, even though they were like, you know, 15, 20 minutes, you know, but never mind. It was always a delight to spend that time with Melinda. So, the next time I saw her was not a happy occasion. I graduated from college, and she went on with her life, but I was working for a Head Start program in which I was involved with families, and I saw that the mother of one of my families was in the hospital in Bennington, where we were at the time, and I saw Heather's name. In those days, people might remember they actually published your name in the newspaper when you were in the hospital. Remember that? Nowadays, that would be like total HIPAA, you know. Anyway, so I saw that Heather was in the hospital, and I just popped in to see her. I had no idea. And I said, oh, because she was all bandaged up and kind of groggy, and I said, oh, well, what's the matter? And she said, I just had a total mastectomy. Oh. And so I sat with her, and we chatted a little bit. You know, there's a little closeness in that kind of conversation that begins to build. And anyway, the next time I saw her was at the Price Chopper in Bennington. And how are you doing? How are you? What are you doing? And I was about to my lease was ending. And so I asked if she knew of any place where I could rent. And she said, oh. And he thought a minute, and she said, well, maybe you could stay with me. Rent for me. So I did. And that's when Heather and I really kind of gelled as friends and family. And there were just so many things that, you know, she gave to me. I do remember the one outstanding memory of that time was on April 15th, 1975. And I think it was about 7 o'clock at night, and she came to me and she said, Henry, do you know anything about filing income taxes? We actually got through that one, but it was a saintly woman named Tina who helped us, not me. And anyway, but when I had kids of my own, Heather was there. She's godmother to both of my children, and I couldn't have picked a better one. She also became, in a way, a mother or godmother to me. My own mother died when I was 27, and it was Heather who came over to Albany, where the funeral was, and watched the kids. Sarah was 1, and Corinna was 4, and watched the kids, and and Heather, every time I needed a mother, she was there for me. She really became my confidant, my comforter, my angel, and so think for a minute of the ways in which she touched you. What I remember about Heather during those times is she was always active. She was long and slender like a dancer in those days. And although she put on weight when she got older, she never lost that grace of movement. She was fiercely protective of her child. I mean, you got between her and your child, her and her child, you were out forever. She was caring. I think she taught me more about compassion and empathy, acceptance, the importance of having a diversity of friends, of having lots of, she taught me so much about living a good life. Except that punctuality part. I've had to learn or get better at that on my own. 30 years ago I'd be walking in now, so I'm improving. So the music part of Heather came later. I didn't know until she started singing with the gospel choir and others that this was a way in which she expressed herself, and how beautiful, how divine was that. This golden voice. Now, I have a little secret that was confided to me not too long ago, but there is another golden voice in that family that always felt like it had to be kept in the shadows a little bit because of the stature of Heather. And you're going to hear from that voice in a bit. But I remember, in the later years when she moved into her house on Terrace Street. You know how with some people, when you go to their house, it's like going home. It's like you're so comfortable, so accepted, and friends become like that too, I think. And so being with Heather was for me like being home, which is a very profound feeling because I'm a nester, But think about that place where you feel most comfortable, most loved, that was the place where Heather was for me. I remember Heather did not like to get up in the middle of the night, I can tell you that. But when I had surgery and I developed a post-surgery urinary tract infection, again, those of you who've experienced it know about it, but anyway, and I had to wake her up and I said, I think you have to take me to the hospital. And she just popped up without, well, there might have been a little grumbling, but took me to the hospital and sat with me and everything. And so all those people who did that, for her at various times, need to know that she was very good at doing that for others. Even when she was slowing down, she was adventurous and daring and flamboyant and larger than life. And God, I miss her. I miss her so much. And I'm sure all of you do too. But I am so incredibly grateful
everybody. I'm so moved by everything in the service today, and especially Henry's talk. And I figured that we would probably, those of us who spoke, would say many of the same things. So I'm sorry if this is going to be a little repetitive. I'm Rebecca Sherlock, and Heather and I were friends for many years. And I thank Melinda for inviting me to speak today. A long, long time ago, around 40 years ago, when I was in social work school, I remember reading a published social work educator's research about, he described the positive characteristics of a mature, authentic person, one who is able to be present and lead their life from a place of inner strength and wisdom. The characteristics described by Dr. Richard Schwartz, the educator, include curiosity, compassion, calmness, creativity, connectedness, confidence, and courage. And there were a few P words also in his description: presence, perspective, persistence, and playfulness. Heather, being human and has been alluded to already, she had her moments. But I think for me and for most of us, she always seemed to rise to these standards. She was mostly, to my mind, that person, that wise, authentic person. Her soul, her understanding seemed as deep as the ocean. Her ready laugh, so cheering. Her intelligence and her talents remarkable. And her caring hugs incomparable. And I think Melinda has inherited much of that, including the hugs. How we got to know each other, we both being clinical social workers, met around 1986. I had just moved to Montpelier from Brookfield, Vermont, and I think Heather had moved to Montpelier fairly recently. We met through professional meetings, and we discovered that we both lived on Foster Street, a block from each other. We were single, we were close in age, we had an only child, a beautiful daughter. We had many shared interests, so it was inevitable that we became friends and eventually close enough to feel like sisters. And we would call each other sisters sometimes. We traveled, some of my memories, we traveled with a Vermont group to Portugal one year in 1990 when I turned 60. We attended many professional conferences together. We bought a canoe, and we went to a lot of wonderful rivers and had wonderful times canoeing, except the hard part was getting it up on the car and not feeling on the way to the put-in place that the canoe would fly off because we didn't make good knots, but it never did fly off. And we helped each other through personal upheavals and crises over the many years. I moved to South Burlington to be with my husband, Michael, at one point, but we would meet in Waterbury for lunch a lot of times, and when it became hard for Hetty, who we gave each other nicknames. She was Hetty, I was Reddy. I would go to her house and we would chat and schmooze and have a wonderful time on her porch. So she had a wonderful zest for life, and I miss her, like so many of us, very deeply. And I feel fortunate to have been her friend, her sister. May her memory always be a blessing. Thank you.
to me. She was a single mom, and so I grew up with this wonderful, amazing, flamboyant, strong woman, and we became very good friends. Music was definitely something that connected us. She would come to, as early as elementary school, she would come with her guitar and play Winnie the Pooh songs and things like that. She was also my protector, and she wanted to make sure that I wasn't afraid of the same things that she was, or I had certain fears, because I was a really anxious kid, you know. And so it would be snowing and icy, and there'd be this driveway that was covered in ice, and I said, Mom, I'm gonna go really slow, you know, I'm gonna go really slow across this ice because I don't want to fall. My mom said, oh, that's not a problem, but she's thrown out there, and I fell and broke her shoulder. But that was my mom. You know, she wanted me to be able to let go and just feel the joy of things. And maybe sometimes you break your shoulder, but there's a lot more times where you just feel that looseness and that joy. And hey, I can do this. My mom was also, in some ways, very childlike. And I was so embarrassed by it because she's like, hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm here. And we went to this department store. It was after we had seen Do the Right Thing. And most of the actors in that had these really great sneakers. And so my mom was like, I really want a pair. That would just be so wonderful to have a pair of those sneakers. I really want a pair of those sneakers. And we found a pair on sale, which was another one of my mother's things. And they fit her. And she danced around the Kmart in these shoes. I've got to show you this. She did like this. I got my sneakers. I got my sneakers. You know, I'm 13 years old, right? I'm like, hey. My mom's like, hey. There are my sneakers. There are my sneakers. So I have a lot of memories of my mom trying to pull me out of my shell, but I also have the memories of her just sitting and listening to me talk for hours. And when I was a teenager, I'd say, stop using your therapist voice on me. But I grew to really love her. And she was just one of the most supportive people, I guess I would say, in my life. So one of the fears that I've always had is singing without my mother. And one of the things my mom had said to Sarah, who's right there, and a wonderful person, and I call her my brain sometimes because she organizes well, and she's also my sister. But my mom made Sarah promise that she would make me sing at her celebration of life. She was like, all right, this girl has to get out and sing on her own, and Sarah, you're the one who's going to do it. So the song is Dona Nobis Pacha. If anybody knows it, please feel free to sing along. And my voice is going to sound a little thin, but I'm going to try my best.
appreciate it. So thank you. Let us share a few moments of quiet now to allow these memories, these stories, this peace that is given to us to settle in with gratitude. May we all carry forward Heather's kindness, generosity of heart, soulful wisdom, and enduring song. May Heather know peace as she lives on in the universal energy that goes round and round. May those who love her find comfort in their memories and peace in the days to come. Knowledge and a hidden blessing within COVID. We have a recording of Heather singing the introductory solo to this song, We Are One. It was made as the solo introduction to a virtual choir recording, but today we have an in-person choir and Heather by video singing to us across time. We are one.
When we walk, when we sleep, when we rise, we are one. When we laugh, when we
them, Heather Merryman Moss. Let us celebrate her resilient spirit, her abiding compassion, and the music of her soul. And may deep and abiding peace be in your hearts in the days to come. We extinguish our chalice to bring our time of sacred gathering to a close, carrying with us the flame of love and gratitude as we carry with us Heather's spirit and memory. I want to also extend a special thanks to the Reverend Bertus LeVar Robinson, who directs the gospel choir and is filling in for Danya Prince, who I imagine is watching, recovering from a cold at home. At the conclusion of the postlude, please allow a moment for Heather's family to exit before making your way downstairs for our